With the NFL draft in the books and NFL free agency mostly over with, there could be a minor move here or there between now and training camp. Let's get into my early 53-man roster projection for the Chicago Bears. My name is Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears. Now, let's go ahead and jump in here. I'm going to go 2 quarterbacks, and I know more teams have started to do 3, but I'm going to do 2 here, Caleb Williams and Tyson Bagent. And the reason is with those new QB rules of you can elevate a guy off the practice squad every week to be your QB3 or emergency quarterback. I don't think you need to carry one on the 53 unless there's just somebody that you're scared is going to get poached. Like, I don't know, if Austin Reed has a Tyson Bagent type of preseason and training camp and you feel like he's worth developing and you're worried another team will sign him if you cut him, sure, you could carry 3, but I'm not going to predict that to happen. So I think you roll with Caleb and Tyson, and Austin Reed and Brett Rippon get cut, and one or both end up on your practice squad. I think they'll likely keep Rippon around because he's a veteran, but he's not really someone you'd be that concerned about getting poached onto an active roster, I don't think. And then, if Austin Reed shows some good things, you can develop him on the practice squad as well. What is your confidence level in Tyson Bagent as QB2, the backup quarterback? Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not at all confident, 10 being very. For on the field, I would say probably an 8. Off the field, I would say 6 or 7, not because he can't help from a mental standpoint and be a communicator to Caleb. I think he's way ahead of his years in that regard, but he is still just a second-year player that was a UDFA last year. That's why I was kind of pounding the table for a guy like Ryan Tannehill, who's been there and done that. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think overall, I'll go 7 out of 10. I feel pretty good about Bagent as a QB2, and as far as a bargain for the Bears with how cheap he is, it's a great deal. All right, 5 running backs, with 1 being a fullback, of course, in Kari Blasingame. DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, Travis Homer, who's mostly going to play special teams, and then Kari Blasingame, your fullback / special teamer. I thought maybe if the Bears drafted a tight end to be a tight end 3 / fullback, maybe Blasingame would get cut. But as of now, I don't see that happening, especially since the Bears really only have 2 tight ends that are for sure going to make this team. We'll get to that position in a second. But I think it's pretty straightforward here. They could cut Homer. That's certainly a possibility. But for now, I'll keep him here. He also overlapped with Shane Waldron in Seattle, so there's familiarity there. And he was a core special teamer last year. Wide receiver, I'm going to go 6. I kind of went back and forth between 5 and 6, and I also went back and forth of who get the final 2 spots. I think the first 4 are pretty safe here. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Tyler Scott. I'd be pretty surprised if Tyler didn't make the team. We know the first 3 guys are. I just feel like they brought back Dante Pettis for a reason. I think they want him to be the punt returner potentially, and he's a better route runner and pass catcher than Velus Jones, so I've got him making it. And then I thought late last year, Colin Johnson as a blocker in the run game, he's a big body target that the Bears may want to invest more into. I think they could keep him, and this could be the end of the road for Velus Jones. Now, could Velus Jones be on this team? Absolutely. The new kickoff rules help his cause. There's no question. But if the only thing the Bears think he's good at is kickoff return, I don't know if that's enough anymore. You've given this 2 years. He didn't take a step forward as a receiver last year. I don't know, man. I just feel like he's had a lot of chances. So big summer coming up for him. He needs to have a good OTAs, good training camp, do some things in the preseason to lock down a roster spot, because if not, they may go elsewhere. It would not surprise me if that was the case. Tight end, and another reason I kept calling Johnson is he's a big body guy. He's not going to convert to tight end, but he can help you as a blocker, H-back, do some of those type of things. Right now, I think it's Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, and someone that's not on the team yet. I'm not buying Steven Carlson as your tight end 3. I just don't see that being the case here. I'm blanking on the guy they brought in as an undrafted free agent, but I'm not sure he's the answer either. Kmet and Everett's a great 1-2 punch, but I'm going to continue to pound the table for Marcedes Lewis. And remember, Marcedes Lewis did not sign until August. So he's a vet. He's 39. He stays in shape. You can trust him to be ready to go. If he wants to return, then keep in contact with him and see where he's at with things. He doesn't need to do OTAs and all that stuff. He wants to show up to camp. That's perfectly fine. Logan Thomas, an interesting name. Not much of a blocker, more of a receiving threat. I'd rather have a blocking type. Blake Bell, Trevon Wesco, more blockers, so keep those two names in mind. Remember, Wesco was here a couple of years ago. He was a decent blocker. I'll mention Robert Tonyan, but he can't block me, much less NFL defensive lineman, and he fell off a cliff as a pass catcher last year. So again, hopefully Marcedes Lewis returns and is willing to play for another year. He said in exit interviews with the media that he wants to run it back. Now, he didn't necessarily say who with. He could certainly sign with another team. He could follow Luke Getsy to Vegas, although they did draft a tight end in the first round. What does that room look like these days? Maybe he goes and reunites with Aaron Rodgers in New York, but he was a leader on this team. I would love to have him back in the locker room. Cole Kmet talked about how valuable he was, and he's still a hell of a blocker, man. I would like to see Marcedes Lewis back. He's a perfect tight end 3 at this point in his career. Do you want Marcedes Lewis back? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I don't see why you wouldn't. I think he's the best option out there for what you're trying to fill on this roster. Y for yes and for no. Go ahead and let me know. 9 offensive linemen here. The starters on your left side of the screen from left to right. Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Ryan Bates. That's a switch I've made recently. There seems to be more Bates buzz as the starting center. I think it'll be a competition with Coleman Shelton, but I've got Bates in there for now. Nate Davis, Darnell Wright, Kiran Amegadjie, the Yale offensive tackle. Coleman Shelton still certainly going to make this team, I think. Jatiri Carter, I think, makes the team. And then I've got Matt Pryor over Larry Borum for a simple reason of he's cheaper. You save $3.1 million if you cut Borum because he hit certain escalators based on playing time through his first 3 years. And for a guy who's not even going to be your swing tackle, I think saving $3.1 million is the way to go. You've got Matt Pryor on the vet minimum. I think that is most likely here. 8 or 9 guys, sometimes 10 is what you're looking at. If it's 10, maybe Borum sticks around. But again, is he worth $3.1 million where he's not even your top backup anymore? I don't think he is. So these are the 9 I'll go with. Get yourself a Caleb Williams jersey today at chatsports.com/Caleb. You got the navy and whites available. Once the orange get back in stock, we'll let you know. Link is in the comments and in the description, chatsports.com/Caleb. Plenty of sizes available. Pre-order them today. They are on backlog. Lots of them are sold, believe it or not. Chatsports.com/Caleb. You will get them in plenty of time before the season. Defensive line, I'm going to go 9 here as well. So 18 trenches players, offense and defense here. Montez Sweat, Javon Dexter, Andrew Billings, DeMarcus Walker, your projected starters right now. Zach Pickens, Austin Booker, who you just drafted. Got Jake Martin making it as a rotation edge. Keith Randolph Jr., he's my 2024 UDFA making this team. I think he could be your 4th defensive tackle. And then I go Khalid Kareem over Dominique Robinson. He stops the run better. He's just a little bit more consistent. And kind of like Velus Jones, you just haven't gotten much out of Dom Rob. So, again, big summer for him, big offseason program, big preseason and training camp. Dom Rob really has to show you some things because if he doesn't, I don't see him making this roster. And by the way, I still think the Bears sign a defensive lineman, whether it's an edge or a defensive tackle. Probably an edge at this point. And if they do sign an edge, I would kick Khalid Kareem off the projected 53. But for now, he's in there. They brought him in last year for a reason, and I think they like him at least a little bit. 5 linebackers. I think this is probably the easiest one to project here. Your 3 starters, T.J. Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Jack Sanborn. Noah Sewell, who you drafted last year, then Amino, who replaces Dylan Cole as kind of your core special teamer, depth linebacker guy. Those are your 5. I mean, I thought about Micah Baskerville as the 6th guy. I know the Bears like him. He's got good coverage skills as a linebacker, as a former safety. I think Baskerville is a name to monitor in the offseason. It wouldn't shock me if he pushed for a roster spot, but I just don't think you need to carry 6 linebackers considering teams play nickel almost exclusively anyway, so I've got him on the outside looking in. If you're a Bears Now subscriber, type me, and if you aren't, change that. Hit the subscribe button, join the channel. It's 100% free. We're plugging up videos every single day, the latest Bears news, rumors, segments like this one, Q&A segments where you guys get your questions in and I answer them, and a whole lot more. YouTube.com/BearsNow. Hit that sub button. Type me if you're a part of the family already. 6 corners here. Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, your 3 starters there, Gordon being the nickel. Terrell Smith, who rotated in as an outside guy last year, really reliable CB4 at this point. Jalen Jones, Josh Blackwell, two excellent special teamers, also have played a decent amount in the secondary as well. Blackwell, your backup nickel. Kind of feels pretty straightforward. I also like Greg Stroman Jr. I thought when he played last year, I think it was the Washington game, he stepped in and played really well, had an interception. It wouldn't shock me if he made this team. I don't know if they'd carry 7 corners. He'd probably have to beat out Jones or Blackwell in that sense, but you got some good options back there. You're very, very deep at the cornerback position. 6 corners, which means I'm going to go 5 safeties here. So a little heavy in the defensive backfield. Kevin Byard, who's here to replace Eddie Jackson. Jaquan Brisker, those are your 2 starters. Jonathan Owens, your new 3rd safety. They needed to upgrade from Elijah Hicks there. I still have Hicks making the team for now. Pretty good special teamer. Quindell Johnson is as well. So I'm going to go 5 safeties overall. They may have to choose between Hicks and Johnson. I could certainly see that. Owens is pretty safe. He signed a 2-year deal. And yeah, 11 defensive backs is a lot, but a couple things. One, the Bears are really deep and solid there. I think they're going to want to carry a lot of these guys and have some special teamers. And 2, again, you're going to play nickel and dime a lot. That's what teams do now. They spread you out. They throw the football. So you got to have different bodies to throw that can cover. So 11 DBs with a lot of those guys playing on special teams. Wrap it up to 53. Your 3 specialists. Cairo Santos is the kicker. Tory Taylor is the punter, replacing Trenton Gill, and then Patrick Scales back for another season to be the long snapper. No shocker here, no surprises, as these are the 3 specialists for the 2024 season, and quite frankly, I don't think there's any debate there. All right, grade the Bears roster right now. You can include guys who I, cut there, just grade the roster, how it sits right now. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know how you guys feel about this group. And then some practice squad candidates based on guys I cut. I think both quarterbacks would be candidates. For sure, Brett Rippon is a vet, but if Austin Reed shows things in the preseason, you could keep him too. Remember, you have 16 practice squad spots now, so got some flexibility. Ian Wheeler, who they signed as UDFA, kickoff return specialist. I'd like to have him on the practice squad. If your starting kick returner were to go down, you could elevate him for a game day. Remember, guys still get 3 games where they can get elevated. Bayless Jones, if he didn't get picked up by another team, kind of think he would. I think some team would give him a chance, but if not, keep him around. Simba Webster, he's been on the practice squad for a while. Stephen Carlson, Brendan Bates, the 2 tight ends could certainly be candidates. Larry Borum, if you don't trade him or if a team doesn't pick him up, he could be someone. Aviante Collins, Doug Kramer, if you want to continue to try to develop him as a center. Dominique Robinson, I would like to keep him on the practice squad if no one picks him up to see if you can further develop him. You haven't really been able to do so up to this point, but he still has some intriguing traits. Michael Dwumfor is a defensive tackle. He's a possibility to make the 53, but if not, he could be on the practice squad. Definitely Micah Baskerville and Greg Stroman Jr. Reddy Stewart, who I know they like as a UDFA corner, and then Tarvarius Moore. Remember, they signed him. He didn't play last year, but he's got some NFL experience. He could push for a spot on the 53, but if not, he could certainly be on the practice squad. There you have it, my Bears early 53-man roster projection, plus some practice squad candidates. Grade the Bears roster right now, A, B, C, D, or F, and don't forget to subscribe.